got the most eyes on you, the most to prove. What's your prediction? What's going to happen May 2nd?
I put Rolly to sleep with a left hook. That's it. That's what you're going to see. Period.
Lion situation. I see that that's the most tension. Is there real beef there, or is it just you want to get ahead and you see him as a guy that you sparred a lot and you feel you should be in that position?
No, I want to chop that kid's head
Just
off.
2 weeks out from Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, tensions between Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero have erupted into full-blown hostility. In a shocking turn of events, Garcia recently headbutted Romero, and the fight hasn't even started. Yet. What began as trash talk has now escalated far beyond mere beef, setting the stage for an explosive
Don't
showdown.
try too much. Rolly's gonna give you everything you want. So kind of just gonna let the fight come to me, and then I'm gonna take over. I'm a better fighter all around. So I feel like it's gonna show in the fight.
Fresh off a one-year suspension, Garcia has been cleared to fight just 5 days before the event. These two have a history, not just inside the ring, but through a year of online jabs, leaked messages, and now a physical confrontation before. The bell has even rung. For many fans, Garcia versus Romero was always a powder keg waiting for a spark, and the headbutt might have just been it.
Tremendous fighter. He's a tremendous fighter. The only people he cannot beat happens to be myself, Gervonta Davis, and the pressure.
At the same time, Devin Haney, Garcia's longtime rival and the man many expected to be part of the narrative climax, is on the same card, but not in the same ring, as he'll be facing Jose Ramirez, another serious contender with plenty to prove. Rounding out the top of the bill, Teofimo Lopez is set to fight Arnold Barboza in a bout some say feels more like filler than feature, but still worthy of inclusion given Teofimo's drawing.
He just said he's looking past you to fight Devin Haney. That doesn't concern you at all?
I think Devin should get the fight again.
But he said he's not even worried about you. He's not even thinking about you. He's looking forward to that fight, that you're just going to be a bump in the road.
But for all the heat inside the card, what's happening outside the ring is even more unusual. This event is set to take place in Times Square, a location that has never hosted a professional boxing match before. It's public, iconic, and wide open, so when promotional images began circulating online, fans naturally assumed it would be a massive, once-in-a-lifetime outdoor spectacle, something you could just walk into and witness history unfold. That expectation, however, may have been a fantasy from the very
Started
beginning.
boxing at 17. I got signed up for when I was 20 years old.
I'm putting the money up right now. If Ryan Garcia can beat Rolly, I give him 200,000
According
cash.
to Matchroom's Eddie Hearn, none of that was ever real. The mock-ups fans saw online were not official, and there was never any intention to sell tickets for the event. In a recent interview, Hearn dismissed hopes for public attendance, suggesting the images came from AI-generated fan accounts or hype pages simply visualizing what they wanted the event to look like. The reality, he made clear, is far less accessible. This isn't about the crowd. It's about the cameras, the television, and the spectacle.
I mean, there will be people there, but not open to the public in terms of tickets. And the team, we're running all the logistics for that event. It's very, very difficult. Frank Smith and everybody, really flat out on it. It's going to be an iconic moment. And, yeah, who would have thought you'd be shutting down Times Square for a fight? But it will happen. May the 2nd.
That revelation left many fans stunned. Why choose Times Square of all places, if not for public spectacle? Why lean into the chaos of New York's busiest street if you're not even planning to let people in to watch? Hearn didn't shy away from the business reality either, admitting that if it were up to him, they'd be selling tickets. You're literally leaving somewhere between $5 and $10 million on the floor by not having a crowd, he said. But it's not his call. He's not the only voice behind the curtain. This event is being run with a completely different vision, one that treats boxing less like a live sport and more like a cinematic broadcast.
So if I am Oscar De La Hoya, since Oscar De La Hoya is Ryan Garcia's promoter for Golden Boy Promotions, if I was Oscar De La Hoya, this is how I would book and promote Ryan Garcia moving forward. I heard that Ryan Garcia called out the weakest link at the 140-pound division, that being Rolly Romero, who is the WBA world champion at the 140-pound division in the sport of boxing. And Ryan Garcia was smart for calling out Rolly Romero last night in that boxing ring. So I think it's smart to go after the weakest link and Rolly Romero at the 140-pound time.
That's where comparisons to other wild location ideas come in. Hearn casually referenced the rumored 2026 Alcatraz boxing event, which is reportedly in the planning stages. Once again, the goal wouldn't be to sell seats or fill bleachers, but to stage boxing in a place you've never seen it before. Somewhere completely unassociated with the sport, in order to capture attention. It's a bold and risky approach, and not everyone is on board with
Garcia
it.
going up to 147. I'm not gonna. I think he's gonna be fast. I'm not sure if his strength is gonna translate to 147. It went with him to 140, but that doesn't mean it's gonna go with him to 147 because that's welterweight. And now he's back with Eddie Reynoso, so I want to say, in my opinion, he didn't look. He looked alright with Eddie Reynoso.
There's also Oscar De La Hoya's take. While Hearn focused on the numbers, De La Hoya doubled down on the ambition, reportedly predicting that 500,000 people would show up in Times Square to watch for free. Garcia echoed the claim on Instagram, hyping it up as a massive public gathering. But from a logistical standpoint, that prediction doesn't hold up. There's no seating, no crowd management plan, and no indication that New York authorities are preparing for an audience of that scale. If people do show up in those numbers, it's likely to be chaos, not celebration. The entire event is left floating in a strange gray zone. On one hand, it's being promoted as boxing's Super Bowl moment, a groundbreaking event meant to change how fights are experienced.
I'm helping him out. I'm helping him out.
Hey, so Rolly's kind of the one who won in this deal.
You got lucky.
Yeah, Rolly's always somehow finds a way.
The Rolly Polly rolls into it.
Hey, this will probably be the biggest payday of Rolly's career.
For sure.
How do you see the fight going?
I destroy that man.
You destroy that man.
On the other hand, the event seems intentionally designed to keep real fans out. If you're not a VIP, a celebrity, or a hand-picked guest, you're not getting in. The visuals may scream public spectacle, but the logistics point to a closed set. This brings us back to Garcia and Romero, whose build-up has taken on a new tone. What began as a stylistic matchup, power versus speed, chaos versus control, has now turned deeply personal. The headbutt incident wasn't part of a press conference or promotional stunt. It was raw, unscripted, and caught on phone cameras. That moment went viral not because it was marketed, but because it was real. Fans didn't respond with curiosity. They responded with bloodlust. Everyone knows Garcia isn't just trying to beat Romero in the ring. He wants to humiliate him.
Cleans up Rolly?
I do.
Think he went smart. Yeah,
I think both fighters be obviously the common opponent right there. I think that both fighters, obviously Ryan just fought Tank.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better since fighting Tank.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Rolly. I think Rolly became better from fighting Tank. I think that they knew certain mistakes that they made. I think they believed in their game plan. Got us all to believe in their game plan. I think they came to this fight with.
And Romero isn't exactly known for backing down. He's been calling out Garcia for years, mocking him relentlessly, even going so far as to question his mental health, his comeback, and the legitimacy of his suspension. For him, this fight is a chance to be the villain who shuts Garcia down once and for all. And with the circus-like nature of the event, anything can happen. The stage may be set in one of the most visible places on Earth, but the fights themselves are shaping up to be very real and very gritty.
They can do some damage. And Ryan Garcia, look, he's coming off. It's going to be about a year now. He's hungry.
And that's what makes the whole setup so contradictory. The backdrop is clean, calculated, almost sterile, designed for the camera. But the fighters? They're coming in raw, emotional, and unfiltered. You've got Teofimo Lopez trying to prove he still belongs among the elite. Haney working to remind people why he's considered one of the sickest operators in the game. And Garcia and Romero dragging each other through the mud, determined to make this personal.
Quick question, how's everybody doing? Haven't talked to you guys in a while. And everybody's doing good.
Everyone's having a blessed day. Rolly.
The disconnect between the controlled event planning and the fighter's explosive energy is jarring. It's almost like two different shows are happening at once. One for the screen and one in real life. Fans can feel that, which is why some are excited and frustrated at the same time. Why promote a fight with this much real-world tension and then make it invitation only? Why let a grudge match like Garcia versus Romero happen in a setting with no live roar from the crowd? Some are speculating that the move is intentional, an attempt to elevate boxing beyond its traditional model.
And see who would really win the fight. You know what I mean? Because it's sparring, anything happens. You know what I mean? Like anything happens. But when it's real, when it's for everything, I win.
Okay, who wins?
Me personally, I believe right.
Knockout or by point?
I would say that fight ends in knockout either way.
Maybe the goal is to turn each fight into a cinematic moment, something slicker than the usual PPV model, tailored for viral clips, social media reaction, and replay value. But that comes at a cost. You lose the raw crowd energy that gives fights their soul. You lose the booing, the chanting, the sound of 10,000 people gasping at a clean uppercut. In trying to evolve the sport, there's a real danger of sterilizing it. There's also a deeper concern. If this becomes the new norm, celebrity-filled events with no general audience, what happens to the connection between the fans and the fighters?
Going up to 147. There's many possibilities. There's the possibility of him having a better chin, which I'm not sure if he's going to have a better chin. There's probably the possibility of him being faster, stronger at 147. But him moving up to 147, the only thing I think that he's really going to get is him having a better chin, because at 140, he was getting hurt multiple times. His last fight, he didn't get hurt. He's a little bit...
For every Garcia or Haney who can draw millions online, there are dozens of hungry boxers building their careers on undercards, feeding off real-time crowd reactions and grassroots buzz. What message does it send if the biggest fights become private shows for influencers and billionaires? Even worse, what if this event flops? What if the broadcast doesn't deliver? The camera angles feel awkward, or the setting comes off more like a commercial than a battlefield. Times Square may look stunning on film, but it's not a venue, it's a set. And sets can fall apart. If Garcia and Romero give the fans another real moment, another unscripted emotional explosion, it's unclear how the event's rigid format will handle it. Will it lean into the chaos, or try to edit it out?
Against me, so I think we're going to see a good fight. But
Rolly Romero was once considered one of the most reckless yet exciting punchers in boxing's lower weight classes. With an awkward style, raw aggression, and a bold tongue that rarely rested, Romero brought chaos into the ring every time he fought. Even against more polished boxers, his power gave him a chance. That kind of unpredictability made him dangerous, if not refined. But now, with just weeks to go until his fight against Ryan Garcia, some voices in the sport believe Romero is no longer that version of himself, and perhaps never will be again.